My jealous sister slapped me across the face in a jewelry store and called me Shadow because I was being treated like a VIP. Moments later, a billionaire stepped in, looked at her, and said, "Touch my wife again and see what happens." But this isn't just a story about a slap. It's about the moment I stopped shrinking myself to fit someone else's shadow and finally recognized my own worth. That day, when my sister's hand struck my cheek in an upscale jewelry store, it didn't just leave a mark. It cracked open a future I never imagined. I'm Jessica, 27. Last Tuesday, I was standing inside Bellamy's, a jewelry store so luxurious it could have had its own postal code. I was there, heart pounding, admiring a pair of diamond earrings I'd spent months saving for. After years of scraping by, I finally had something to celebrate. But just as I was about to make the purchase, the door chimed, and in stormed my sister, Amber, her face twisted with fury. Before I could react, her hand connected with my cheek. The sound echoed through the silent store, sharp and brutal. What followed changed everything. Growing up with Amber was like living in the path of a constant storm. She's 2 years older, always seen as prettier, and somehow always the center of attention. While I worked after-school jobs since I was 16 just to make ends meet, Amber floated from hobby to hobby, fully confident that our parents would cover everything, and they always did. Our home wasn't extravagant, but comfortable. Dad was a high school teacher, and Mom ran a small boutique. Together, they managed to give Amber everything she asked for: dance lessons, cheerleading camps, new clothes every season. Me? I saved every babysitting dollar for art supplies and design software. Whenever I pointed out the favoritism, Mom would say, "Jessica, you're so independent. Your sister needs more help." Independent wasn't a choice. It was survival. By 20, I was working full-time at a print shop while taking night classes to earn my graphic design degree. Amber, on the other hand, lived at home until 25. When our parents finally bought her a condo as a graduation gift after her third attempt at community college. But last month, things shifted. It was my 5th anniversary at Boyd Creative. After years of hard work, I'd gone from junior designer to leading major accounts. My boss, Natalie, had just given me a raise after I secured a huge campaign. For the first time, I could breathe. So I decided to buy myself something meaningful: real diamond earrings. The Sunday before everything happened, we had our usual family dinner. I couldn't wait to share my promotion, but as always, Amber took center stage. "Everyone, I have an announcement," she squealed, showing off a massive diamond ring. "Trevor proposed! We're getting married next spring." Trevor, her boyfriend of 5 months, smiled stiffly beside her, his expensive watch gleaming. Mom gasped and hugged her. Dad congratulated Trevor like he'd won a prize. When I finally mentioned my promotion, Mom barely glanced my way. "That's nice, honey. Now, Amber, tell us how he proposed." That night, something hardened inside me. The earrings weren't just jewelry anymore. They were a statement. Proof that my accomplishments mattered, even if no one else acknowledged them. Bellamy's wasn't the priciest store in Phoenix, but it was definitely the most intimidating. Chandeliers, glass cases, and staff dressed sharper than most executives. I'd walked past it for years, but never had the courage to step inside. That Tuesday morning, I took a half-day off work. I wore my best navy dress, styled my hair, added light makeup, and even wore heels, something I rarely did. I wanted to look like I belonged there. As I pushed open the heavy glass door, I was greeted by soft classical music and the faint scent of luxury perfume. A tall woman with silver-streaked hair smiled warmly. "Welcome to Bellamy's. How may I assist you today?" My throat felt dry. "I'm looking for diamond earrings," I managed to say. "Something small but high quality. It's my first real purchase." Instead of the judgment I expected, her eyes brightened. "Your first diamonds? That's special. Let's find something perfect for you." Her name was Tara. She guided me through displays, explaining clarity and cut while showing several pairs. I was just beginning to relax when the door chimed again. And then, that voice. "Oh my God, Jessica, what are you doing here?" Amber stood at the entrance with her two friends, Bridget and Kayla. Dressed in white jeans, a pink silk blouse, and designer heels, she looked like she'd stepped out of a fashion ad. "Are you lost?" she said loudly. "This place seems a bit out of your league." Tara's expression tightened slightly, but she stayed professional. "Your sister is looking at our diamond collection. Would you like to join us?" Amber laughed. "Unfortunately, yes, she's my sister, though you'd never guess by looking at us." I stayed calm. "I didn't know you were shopping today. Are you looking for wedding bands?" "Just browsing," she shrugged. "Trevor and I will probably go to Cartier in Scottsdale." "What are you buying? Costume jewelry?" Tara cleared her throat. "Actually, your sister has excellent taste. She's considering these half-carat diamond studs." Amber's eyes narrowed. "Half a carat? With your salary? That's ambitious." "I got a promotion," I said, heat rising to my cheeks. "I can afford them." "A promotion at that little print shop? How nice. What's that, an extra $1 an hour?" she mocked. Her friends giggled. "It's a graphic design agency," I corrected, "and it was a substantial raise." Amber smirked. "Well, good for you. Though if you had financial sense, you'd invest that money instead of wasting it on jewelry. But poor decisions have always been your thing." 5 years of therapy had taught me not to react, but her words still cut deep. Sensing the tension, Tara lifted the earrings to my ear. "These suit you beautifully," she said gently. "They're perfect," I replied. "I'll take them." "Seriously?" Amber snapped, stepping closer. "You're buying expensive earrings right after my engagement? How typical of you." "What does that have to do with anything?" I asked, confused. "You just can't stand that I'm the center of attention," she said, her voice rising. "You've always been jealous of me." I couldn't help but laugh. "Amber, you've always been the center of attention. I've spent my life in your shadow." "In my shadow?" she repeated, incredulous. "That's rich. You're the one they brag about, the scholarship girl with the big career. Poor Amber can't compete with perfect Jessica." Her version of our lives was so twisted, it left me speechless. "That's not true, and you know it," I said quietly. The entire store had gone still. "I don't have to listen to this." I turned to Tara. "I'd like to pay now." "Don't you dare walk away from me," Amber hissed, grabbing my arm. Her nails dug into my skin. "Let go," I warned. "You're making a scene." "I'm making a scene. You're the one wasting money to upstage me." "Not everything is about you," I snapped. "This is my money, something I earned. I'm buying something for myself, for once." Tara began boxing the earrings, clearly eager to end the confrontation. Amber's face turned red. "How much are those even?" Tara hesitated until I nodded. $2,800, she said. Amber's jaw dropped. "Almost 3,000? Are you insane?" "That's what Mom and Dad spent on your semester of college. One of them, anyway," I said evenly. "This is my money. You're wasting it. You're jealous of my ring, my fiancé, my life." "I'm not jealous of you, Amber," I said. "I never have been." That truth hit her like a slap, and then she actually did it. Her hand swung through the air and struck my face. The sound cracked like thunder in the quiet store. The music stopped. My cheek burned. I touched it, stunned, In all our years of fighting, she had never hit me. Tara gasped. Her friends froze. The security guard started moving toward us when a deep voice behind me broke the silence. "Touch my wife again and see what happens." The voice came from behind me, deep, calm, and commanding. "Touch my wife again and see what happens." I froze. Everyone did. The man was tall, maybe late 30s, dressed in a perfectly tailored charcoal suit. His hair was dark and precise, his presence magnetic, but it was his eyes, cold, steel gray and unwavering, that silenced the entire store. "Excuse me?" Amber stammered, her confidence suddenly gone. The man stepped closer, placing himself slightly in front of me. "You heard me. If you raise your hand to my wife again, you'll regret it." Whispers rippled through the room. Tara looked confused. The security guard hesitated mid-step. Even I was too stunned to speak. "Wife?" I had never seen this man before in my life. "Yes, my wife," he continued firmly, "and I don't appreciate seeing her being assaulted in public." Amber's eyes flicked to his watch, his suit, his air of authority, and for once she looked uncertain. He turned slightly toward me, and when he saw my face clearly, a flicker of confusion crossed his expression. Still, he stayed composed. "Claire, are you all right?" he asked gently. I began, but he had already turned back to Amber. "I don't know who you think you are, but this behavior is unacceptable," he said evenly. "I suggest you leave before security escorts you out." Amber's shock quickly turned to outrage. "Do you even know who I am? That's my sister, not your wife. Her name is Jessica." The man blinked, then looked back at me, realization dawning. A faint color rose to his cheeks. "My apologies," he said, recovering smoothly. "You look remarkably like my wife from behind. I mistook you for her. Still, your sister's behavior is inexcusable." Amber's tone changed instantly, dripping with artificial charm. You're Harrison Walsh, aren't you? From Innovatech? Oh my gosh, I've read about you. It's such an honor to meet you." Harrison didn't even glance at her. Instead, he turned to me. "Are you okay? That slap looked painful." I nodded, my cheeks still burning. "I'm fine, just a misunderstanding." "The misunderstanding was mine," he said calmly, "but my concern was real. No one should be treated like that, especially by family." Amber jumped in again, desperate. "We were just joking around. Sisters, you know. Jessica knows I didn't mean anything by it." "That's not true," I said, my voice steady now. "You slapped me because I refused to let you make me feel small." Amber's smile faltered. "Jessica exaggerates. She's just upset because I'm engaged and she's still single." Harrison's expression didn't change. "I witnessed the entire exchange," he said. "You belittled her, mocked her career, and when that failed, you hit her. That's not a misunderstanding, that's aggression." The security guard arrived with an older man in a pinstriped suit. "Mr. Walsh," the older man said respectfully, "is there a problem?" "Yes, Mr. Bellamy," Harrison replied. "This woman just assaulted another customer." The name clicked. The Mr. Bellamy, owner of Bellamy's Jewelry. Amber panicked. "That's not true. Jessica, tell them we were just joking." "She slapped me," I said clearly, "because I decided to buy the earrings instead of listening to her criticize me." Mr. Bellamy's expression hardened. "We have a zero-tolerance policy for violence here. I'm afraid I must ask you to leave." Amber gasped. "You can't be serious. Do you know who our father is?" "I don't believe that's relevant," Mr. Bellamy replied coolly. "Frank, please escort this lady and her friends out." The guard stepped forward. "Jessica, tell them to stop." Amber shouted, her voice rising as Frank gently guided her toward the door. Her friends trailed behind, mortified. At the door, Amber turned one last time. "You'll regret this, Jessica. Wait until Mom and Dad hear what you've done." The doors shut behind her. Silence filled the store again. Harrison turned to me, regret in his eyes. "I seem to have made things more complicated. Please, allow me to make it up to you. Maybe coffee, after you finish here? I'd like to explain properly." Still dazed, I nodded. "Okay, coffee sounds nice." Mr. Bellamy personally completed my purchase, apologizing for the incident. My hands shook as I signed the receipt. Tara placed the small blue bag in my hands and gave me a reassuring smile. Harrison waited by the door. When I joined him, it felt like stepping into a different world, one where a billionaire had just intervened in my family drama. He suggested a small cafe nearby, quiet and elegant. Soft jazz played as we took a corner booth. "I come here when I need to think," he said. "The coffee's good, and they respect privacy." Once we were seated, Harrison leaned forward, sincere. "I need to explain what happened. My wife, Claire, is in London for business. I was at Bellamy's buying her an anniversary gift. From behind, you looked exactly like her. Same height, hair, even the blue dress. When I saw you get slapped, I reacted instinctively." "It's all right," I said. "Honestly, you probably stopped her from going further. Amber doesn't handle public embarrassment well." He nodded. "Family relationships can be complicated. I shouldn't pry, but it's clear there's tension between you two." "You're not wrong," I admitted. "Amber's always been the favorite. She's not used to me standing up for myself." Harrison's expression softened. "I understand that dynamic. My brother and I struggled with something similar. After Innovate Tech took off, he felt overshadowed. It took time and distance to fix that." "Did it get better?" I asked. He smiled slightly. "Eventually, once we stopped competing and started communicating honestly, things changed. He runs our European division now, fully on his own merit." I nodded. "That sounds familiar. I've been living in my sister's shadow for years. The difference is, I've finally realized I don't have to." Harrison gestured toward the Bellamy's bag beside me. "Those earrings, they're more than jewelry, aren't they?" "They are," I said quietly. "They represent everything I've worked for. Proof that my success has value, even if my family doesn't see it." He smiled. "I get that completely. When I sold my first software at 19, I bought an expensive watch I didn't need. Not for status, but because it symbolized validation. The moment I could finally say, 'I did this.'" "Exactly," I said, surprised at how easily he understood. We talked longer than I expected. Despite his wealth and reputation, Harrison spoke plainly, with genuine curiosity. It felt easy. Eventually, he glanced at his phone. "I have a meeting soon," he said, then hesitated. "You mentioned you're in graphic design?" "Yes. I lead the digital media team at Boyd Creative. We handle branding and national campaigns." His eyes lit up with interest. "Digital integration? That's exactly what Innovate Tech's marketing team needs. We're expanding our consumer app division. Would you be open to sharing your portfolio?" I blinked. "Are you serious?" "Completely. No pressure, of course," he said with a small smile. "Just an opportunity, if you're interested." My heart raced. "Yes, absolutely." Harrison nodded, satisfied. "Then consider this the start of something new." That day started with a slap, but it ended with a door opening to a future I'd never dared to imagine.